The Valby run playstyle is not going to be bringing us originally what we thought we were going to be getting. Now, what exactly does this mean? Well, we recently got a post on the First Descendant Twitter page where it says, "We apologize for the confusion caused by the misinterpretation during the translation process of the original Korean text. There have been no reversals of decisions, and our initial statement remains that we do not intend to restrict the Valby run playstyle. However, as mentioned before, or as mentioned, we aim to adjust the rewards efficiency at the fortress outpost to balance it with other regions. Once again, we apologize for any confusion in our communication, and we will do our best to be as clear as possible." Now, what ended up being essentially relayed to us yesterday was what we currently see under the misinterpreted line. So we would like to inform you that we're preparing a patch without completely blocking the fortress outpost issue and to keep allowing players to enjoy playing like before. However, at the same time, we will update other farming locations to match the efficiency equivalent to the fortress outpost. Now, this means two totally entirely different things. So for those of you guys that don't get what this means, right? So essentially what we got yesterday was saying that we basically were going to be getting a boost to our outposts, and they were going to be matching the efficiency of what everyone was basically able to do with the Valby playstyle to give that farm value to other characters. But what they were initially trying to say, or what they should have been saying due to, I guess, the misinterpretation, was that we would like to inform you that we're preparing a patch without completely blocking the outposts, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. However, at the same time, we will update the Fortress of Vultures strategic outpost to match the efficiency of other farming locations, which means they were going to be bringing it down to match the balancing of what they wanted to have within the game. Now, here's the problem. I just feel like whenever you make these posts and you're putting these things out to your community, these things need to be proofread. Like there shouldn't be translation errors like to that degree to where it's meaning something totally entirely different. Now, if we also go and we take a look at what was also posted from the updated dev talk, based around this Volga strategic outpost, the main thing that we also kind of took into consideration, why I could also see why more players thought this was more of a positive than it was, say, you know, of a rebalancing, was because it also went to go and say that the main purpose of 1.0.4 is to reduce the cooltime of the Volga strategic outpost and rebalance the locations for collecting void fragments. We're also planning to diversify methods for gold supply by enhancing gold efficiency within special operations. Now, I think if we would have had the other line, it would have actually kind of made this sentence come off a little bit different, where it would have actually been more so about diversifying where we get gold, but not necessarily that we're getting more gold, but that there would just be other ways to obtain it, right? So that you're not in the same cycle or content loop, you know, essentially burning out or becoming bored. So I think that the main thing here is that when you put out information like that, you now have to try to figure out a common ground, because now there's an expectation being set. Now, I get it. I'm all for balancing and making the game a, you know, just a great place to be, you know, definitely not making it to where just players are just able to just freely get whatever. I think the other thing is too, though, is that everybody is technically able to farm for Valby if they really wanted to. And so it's not really like it's like locking out certain players, but I also think that it is just a matter of like who has the time to do it versus who doesn't. And when we're looking at, like I said, putting out this kind of information, it has to be correct when it first comes out. I get it, mistakes happen, but this is a really, really big translation error, because now, again, a lot of people that thought that this was going to be a W are now looking at this as if it is an L. So I'm hoping that they end up rectifying or addressing this, because this actually coincides to one of the biggest issues that I've seen circulating around, and I've seen a lot of people complaining about, was essentially item drop rates and things of that nature. So to have something kind of presented that seems to be kind of, I would say, fixing that or addressing that, to then realize that it really didn't mean that, it can be kind of off-putting, right? And I feel like so far the First Descendant has done a very solid job at honestly meeting the players where they're at. So I don't want to make this out to be like they just don't listen or they're making all these terrible decisions, because that's definitely not what this is. But what I do think is that they have to be a lot more careful with how they present information, because these are the types of things that will make players leave, right? And the entire goal is to keep as many, and I would say for hopefully as long as you possibly can, players coming back into your game and constantly wanting to keep playing, wanting to grind in a looter shooter, right? So I would say what would my advice be would try to find the middle ground there, right? Again, we're not saying that every single unit needs to be a farmer, because I do think that you do have classified roles within the game that, I mean, just should be respected, right? Like we have obvious units that are just tanks, right? Like the cows, the Ajaxes, they're able to still do some things, right, outside of that. But inherently that's kind of like that face value where you have like the bunnies, right? And obviously now Valby, who are like kind of those units that can do some farming, AoEs, like they're really good at that. And you have like boss killers like Glay. We're starting to see some stuff with Viesa. Like, so I get where, and why certain things are happening. But I think that when you're talking about the average player that's able to, you say, maybe put in a couple of hours every other day, these things do matter a lot to them. I'm one of those guys that's able to put in, 100+ hours, into these types of games consistently, like that's just like how it is. So I don't think that I necessarily have an opinion as much as like, the drops need to be this, because I'm going to farm all day anyway. But I will say for the common player, trying to find that middle ground, I get it. Looters definitely and should be grinded, but I think you want to consider all players in all facets so that you're able to, I would say, really honestly get the most. So I want to know from you guys, how do you guys personally feel about this? Because for me, like I said, I just think that these things should be proofread. I don't see there needing to be this like having to follow up for these types of things. There just should be some sort of proofreading before they're even posted, because that is a very, very big thing to just say, and then it's left up for like almost 24+ hours. And so now you have that circulating. That's not just here on the Twitter page, but that's also on, Reddit. That's now circulating on YouTube videos. So now that's hitting thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And so we now are all looking at this as like, what the heck is actually happening? And this is just one of those things that I just personally feel like could just be completely avoided if they do the pre-work there, right? So again, not to discredit any of the things that they have done so far, but I absolutely think that it is necessary to take necessary steps to making sure that you are trying your best to continue to please the community as much as you possibly can. Again, I guess I could say I appreciate them following up, and not being a week later. But I really do wish that this wouldn't have happened in the first place, just because, simply put, it's now going to be, again, kind of almost taking that like toy from that your kid's favorite toy basically away from them in a sense. So you guys let me know how you guys personally feel about this. Again, I think that it's just kind of like, just kind of up to them, and hopefully they listen to, some of the feedback that they've been getting. But I definitely think that, now they have to consider what the Korean side seen versus what we seen on EN. So yeah, it's a little bit of a tough situation, but let me know what you guys think. Everyone stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.